Welcome to this explainer. Grab a coffee, because today we're sitting down, really just like trusted friends, to talk about one of the most stressful moments you can face as a parent. You know the drill, you get that dreaded call from the school, and they tell you a bullying issue is totally settled just because the other kid apologized. But is an apology actually enough? Well, let's look at the science and the practical steps of real repair.
So let's just dive right in and validate your gut feeling right off the bat. If you feel this knot of anxiety after hearing that an apology supposedly fixed everything, you are absolutely not overreacting. Because, realistically, 2 days later, that exact same kid might give yours a menacing stare in the hallway, or a mean inside joke suddenly pops up in the group chat. We kind of have this habit of treating the words, "I'm sorry," as absolute, ironclad proof that the harm is over. But an apology is not the same thing as safety. It's not changed behavior, and it definitely isn't repaired trust.
Now, don't get me wrong here. We aren't saying apologies are totally useless. Actually, research shows that a clear, honest apology can really kickstart the healing process. It tells your kid, hey, I see what I did and I know it affected you. But think of it like an open door. The apology, that just unlocks the door. Actually walking through it, that takes real action. Because if the teasing, the rumors, the exclusion, or those nasty online attacks keep happening, then that apology was, frankly, completely empty. Trust has to grow from what happens next, not just from what was said once under pressure in a principal's office.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to separate a normal peer argument from actual, genuine bullying. You see, a normal argument between two kids who have similar power can usually be solved with a calm talk, a quick apology, and a handshake. No big deal. But bullying? Bullying is fundamentally different. It involves a dangerous power gap, and that could be size, age, popularity, having a big group of friends backing them up, or even online reach. Because of this gap, forcing them face-to-face and saying, all right, shake hands and make up, can be literally terrifying for the targeted child. They might just smile and accept the apology solely to escape the room, not because they actually feel safe.
Okay, so let's shift gears and talk about the 7 parent mistakes to avoid. When you see your kid in pain, naturally, you just want it to be over. You want to fix it. But that intense desire can lead to some really understandable, yet completely unhelpful reactions. Let's walk through them.
First step is closing the case too early. Moving on sounds super healthy, right? But if you do it before checking if those harmful posts were actually deleted, you're leaving your kid vulnerable. Mistake number 2 is the public apology. It might feel like sweet justice to have a bully stand up in front of the whole class and apologize, but honestly, that just exposes your child to more stares, more gossip, and more blame. Real safety has to come before a dramatic movie-style moment. And third, please never force your child to accept the apology. They can politely acknowledge it, sure, but forgiveness should absolutely never be the toll your child pays just to get adult help.
Moving on, mistake number 4 is judging an apology by tears. We often expect a sad, quivering voice, but plain words followed by actual behavior change beat an Oscar-worthy crying performance any day of the week. Next up, don't let an apology replace a concrete safety plan. If the incident happened on the bus, adults still need to be watching that bus. Mistake 6. Do not make your hurt child lead the repair. That is way, way too much weight for them to carry. Adults have to shoulder the duty of safety. And finally, never demand that they become friends again. A respectful distance is a perfectly healthy and realistic outcome.
So, now that we know what we definitely shouldn't do, what does a genuinely useful apology actually sound like? Well, it's plain, it's clear, and it takes absolute responsibility. It names the specific behavior, like I spread that rumor. It names the harm, it embarrassed you, and crucially, this is the big one, it offers 0 excuses. A weak apology says, I'm sorry you got upset, which, if you think about it, places the blame right back on the hurt child's feelings. But a useful apology says, I am sorry I did that. It was wrong, and here is exactly how I'm going to change.
All right, let's get into the repair action plan. Now that we know what to avoid, how do we actually move forward and guarantee real safety for your kid?
Here is the exact sequence that adults need to lead, and it spells out repair. R is for remove the danger. You have to stop the unsafe contact immediately. And yes, save the receipts. E is explain the exact harm using clear, unambiguous words. P is put right what can be fixed. That means deleting a post or replacing a broken item. A is act differently, meaning you need a real enforceable plan for the future. I means inspect. Adults actually have to check in weeks later to see how things are going. And the final R is respect your child's choices, so no forced meetings and absolutely no forced friendships.
Next, let's look at your timeline for action. Because having a framework is fantastic, but that creeping anxiety of what do I actually do right now can be totally overwhelming. So let's map out a very concrete schedule for the days immediately following the apology.
Okay, here is your game plan. In the first 24 hours, your job is just to listen. Ask how the apology felt and check for any immediate physical or online threats. Then, over the next 48 hours, write down what still needs fixing. Is there a rumor still floating around out there? By 72 hours, it's time to contact the school. You want to thank them for the apology, but firmly ask for the rest of the safety plan. Then, for the next 7 days, do light, daily check-ins. Keep it casual. Did the behavior stop? Did it just move somewhere else? Focus only on what can be tangibly proven with actions, rather than agonizing over whether your child thinks the other kid was being sincere.
Let's talk about scripts and boundaries. Honestly, knowing exactly what to say to the school or the other parents can be the absolute hardest part of this whole ordeal. So let's give you the exact words to protect your child so you don't even have to think on your feet.
You can confidently use this exact language to advocate for your kid. See, schools often want a neat, tidy ending where everyone is buddies again and they can close the file. But you have the absolute right to say, my child does not have to become friends. The goal is safe and respectful behavior. Seriously, remind everyone involved that respectful distance is a completely healthy, acceptable, and realistic result. Your child's comfort and safety will always trump the school's desire for a picture-perfect resolution.
And when you're writing that follow-up email to the school after an apology meeting, you can use this calm, short script. It politely acknowledges the step they took, but it immediately pivots the conversation. Notice what's purposely missing from this script. You aren't asking about the other child's punishment. Schools usually can't share private disciplinary details with you anyway due to privacy laws. By keeping your message strictly on the practical follow-up plan to protect your child's privacy and safety, you force the focus right back to where it belongs, protecting your kid.
Now, it is absolutely vital to note that sometimes an apology just shouldn't happen at all, at least not yet. Apology meetings must immediately wait if there are severe threats, physical danger, stalking, or a really strong fear of payback. Safety and proper adult intervention just have to come first, full stop. Furthermore, an apology meeting must wait if your child simply says no to facing the person who harmed them. A letter can be written instead for sure, but adults should never ever use a terrified child as a teaching prop just to help a bully learn a lesson.
To wrap up this explainer, remember that an apology can be a really wonderful first step, but those two little words, they just can't do all the heavy lifting. Your child keeps their voice, they keep their boundaries, and they absolutely do not have to forgive on command. Real repair means adults stepping up, teaching, watching, and following through on the tough stuff. So the next time someone tells you, hey, it's settled, they apologized, I want you to look at them and ask, okay, that's a good start, but exactly what is going to be different tomorrow?